So I want to talk to you today about using task management boards to support your children with their learning at home. So as you can see from our website, the purpose of a task management board is to provide children with a sequence of tasks to carry out in order. The idea is that you break it down into small manageable tasks that they know what to do in an order, in a sequence, so that they can get to an end outcome. You can do it written, or you can do it using pictures, or you can do it using a combination of both. The idea is that a task management board should mean that you can support the child to start with, they fully understand what they've got to do, and then they can be a little bit more independent, knowing exactly what they've got to do, how long it's going to last, and what the final step is. And it might be that you combine this with a use of a reward chart or reward system of some description, is it's a really good way of motivating children. Also, combining these with a timer, whether that be digital or sand timer, is a really effective way of children really understanding how much they've got to do, in what time they've got to do it, and then what rewards they're going to get at the end. And this is exactly the format that we use at school, so they should be able to use it quite happily at home as well. You can either print out a task management board like I've done here. I've actually laminated mine so that I can write over the top of it and rub it out. You could just do a paper one and get rid of it when you want to. You don't even have to use a frame. You could just do it on a piece of paper and write out the steps. Or you could do it on the computer. If they're using a computer and they can go back to that and you've written out steps, great. However works for you is absolutely fine, as long as that the child understands what it is they've got to do and they can refer back to it throughout. So I'm going to use an example here of using it in maths, for example. So if, say, for example, mine is a year 3-4 class, and I was using this with a pupil who was doing column addition, I would start by writing in what the task is. So the task that I want the children to do is I want them to be able to solve addition problems. So the task is solve addition problems, and I would keep this as simple as possible. The less words effectively the better, because then it takes off the pressure of that reading. What equipment do I need? So in order for them to be able to be successful, what do they need? So for column addition, they need a pencil, a rubber, and probably a ruler to be able to do the lines for the column addition, and the questions. And while I'm doing this, I tend to do these task management boards with the child, and I talk through it as I'm doing it, because then they fully understand what they're doing. However, if you want to get it ready in advance and then talk it through with them, absolutely fine. But it's really important that you have that conversation so that they know what it is they've got to do. So for example, I'm going to break it down into steps. So for them, I'm going to say that in my bottom box here, let me see if I can get it to load. So in my bottom box, it says, I will be finished when. So I'm going to expect my child to do 2 questions. So I'll be finished when I've done 2 full questions. And when they finish those 2 questions, and I want that done in 5 minutes, when they get that, they're going to have 5-minute rest. And it could be that I say that you can go and play in the garden for 5 minutes, you can have a snack, or if you have an iPad and you want to give them 5 minutes iPad time, that's fine. You need to think about what's best for your child. Is 5 minutes a reasonable amount of time for them to work, or is 10 minutes, 15 minutes better? But think about what you already know with their home learning. Do they tend to zone out or switch off after a certain amount of time? Try and keep it to that optimal learning time, just because the longer that they're working, the harder that they're going to find it, and the more difficult you're going to find it to get them to motivate. So I've got 5 steps, and I don't really want more than 5 steps, otherwise it becomes too unmanageable for them. So the first thing they're going to do is read the question. Second thing, they're going to do their place value columns in their book. So I'm going to model that to them. Then they're going to place digits in columns, and again I can do a little picture to go with that. I can just demonstrate an example on what that would look like. And I'm going to start in the ones column, and digits, and write the answer. So I would be going through this step by step with the child and explaining what they're going to do. So I'm going to say to them, right, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to read the question, work out what the numbers are that you're using. Second thing you're going to do in your book is you're going to write your place value column so that you know where your digits need to go. Third thing, you're going to place your digits in the column correctly. You're going to start in the ones column with your adding, and then you're going to add the digits and write the answers. And when you've done 2 questions, we're going to stop and we're going to have a break. And I'm going to be that clear and that explicit with them. And so you can see I've literally just written on to my task management board the various different things with the examples as well. Okay, I might like to have one laid out on the side for them so that they know what it's going to look like. So they are really clear in their books as to what the work's going to look like when it's all laid down. So alongside my task management board, I could have an example to show them what that's going to look like. So that they know that when they finish the 5 steps that I've given them, they can check that they're correct because it should look the same as mine. When they do those 2 questions, whether they've got the questions right or wrong, it's important to stop there and let them have that break because they've worked through the steps and they then need to have that time. You could then, the next step that you would do when you break down the task is come back to it, and your next step could be correcting it. And you go through the steps again, right, okay, we're going to use a calculator to check our answer. Then we're going to go through and see where we've made a mistake and so on. You can use a task management board for absolutely anything. It could be getting dressed in the morning, put your pants on, put your socks on, put your t-shirt on, put your trousers on, put your jumper on, you're done. It could be getting ready for bed in the evening. It could be getting ready to go out for a walk. It could be the PE that you're doing if you're doing a PE lesson, if you're doing some cooking. It doesn't just have to be academic subjects. You can use this in any way you need to. And if you want any support with how to do that, then please do get in contact. This is just one example of how you can use a task management board to support your child's learning at home. I hope you found this useful and that you'll be able to use this when you're doing your remote learning.